everybody, and welcome to the 25th episode of Season 2 of the Coffin Corner Podcast. I'm your host, GoodNightPunk, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Jabba the Hutt. Jabba the Hutt?
Oh, oh, oh.
What's up, Richie?
What's up? Oh, man, it is the final week of the regular season, and that is crazy.
I don't like it. There's no game tonight. There's no, after Sunday, it's all just playoffs. You're down to like one game to choose to watch at a time. It's the worst time of the year is coming up.
Well, but the Lions are in the playoffs, so that's pretty exciting.
Well, that's a good part. But as far as once the Super Bowl ends, I will be very upset.
Oh, yeah. I love the offseason, though. So.
Yeah. Plus, you get the new XFL, USFL merger league going on.
Yes.
Which I saw that they got rid of literally.
West Coast.
I was saying that they got rid of literally every West Coast team.
Yeah. Kind of a bummer.
I guess I'll be rooting for the Michigan Panthers.
DC Defenders, baby.
Yeah, I kind of like the Vegas Vipers. They were cool looking. Even the Seattle Sea Dragons or whatever they were cool looking. But they're gone. So, sad.
It's because on the West Coast, the weather's so nice in the spring that nobody goes to football games.
Must be it. Like on the East Coast, they're like, well, we got nothing else to do.
Yeah, we gotta do something. We'll just sit watch a football game.
All right, so what do you got? You got the top 5 this week. What was it?
Well, we did top 5 free agents for the offensive side of the ball last week. So I just went with the defensive side of the ball this week. I'll start off. All of mine are unrestricted free agents, or would be as of right now. Some may get re-signed or franchise tagged, but just like last week, I went with anybody who is scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent. I'm going to start off with Brian Burns for the Panthers. Great linebacker, great pass rusher. I don't see why he would want to stay in Carolina and be part of a rebuild. Go get paid. But may end up getting franchise tagged. But he could be a very useful piece for somebody looking for a pass rusher.
Especially considering he was a massive name that kept being brought up during trade talks. So yeah. I would not be surprised if he was gone, because it seems like there might have already been that. Do we want to let him go for nothing or try to get rid of him? And they tried to get rid of him, and I think everyone else was just kind of like, we'll wait till we can get him in free agency and not trade assets. So
yeah, they probably asked for too much of the trade deadline, but who knows? They could end up wanting to franchise tag him.
My assumption is that a team with no first-round picks was asking for a first-round pick, and no one was willing to give it to him. So
probably very accurate. Well, we already know their owner is a complete idiot, so.
Yeah, true. Well, he did apologize this week for throwing that drink on someone.
Yes. Apologizing after the fact fixes everything.
Yes, exactly. Well said. All right, well, my number 1 is also a defensive lineman, and he is one that I would very much like to not see re-signed. But that is Danielle Hunter from Minnesota. He's the 29-year-old offensive linebacker with 15.5 sacks, which is 5th in the league right now. Is an unrestricted free agent. And so I would totally be fine with seeing him go somewhere else. And he is a good defensive lineman, so.
Yeah, he is. He's very disruptive.
And just tired of seeing going from Jared Allen to Danielle Hunter to whoever is on the line for Minnesota always wrecks the Lions. So I'd like to see them not have that guy for a while.
Always nice watching divisional opponents lose players, for sure.
Especially when they come to your team, like David Montgomery.
Yes, that worked out very well.
Exactly.
My number 2 is another pass rusher. Josh Allen for the Jaguars. Again, another possible franchise tag candidate, but hasn't been as destructive the last couple seasons, or at least hasn't been as talked about the last couple seasons, but very talented. Kind of wasted on the Jaguars' terrible defense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because, a lot of people don't even realize who he is because he gets mixed
third
up.
in the NFL in sacks. I did not know that.
He is. People usually get him. If you hear the name Josh Allen, you usually think of the Bills, right?
Right.
Which it's a lot like Brandon Marshall, the linebacker for
Broncos.
the Broncos for all that time. Anytime you heard the name Brandon Marshall, you thought of the wide receiver, not the really good linebacker. And Josh Allen is another one where I don't think a lot of people really know his name, despite the fact that he's really good. But I would love. He is really good. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't even realize he was third in the NFL in sacks right now. That just goes to show you why he is very good and deserves to be somewhere better.
Flies under the radar in Jacksonville, that's for sure.
Yes.
So, I also have another lineman as my second, and that's Justin Matabuki. I think that's how you say it. Matabuiki?
I have no idea.
Yeah. 26-year-old defensive lineman from Baltimore, 13 sacks. I think that puts him somewhere in the top 10 in the league in sacks. But 26-year-old defensive tackle going and now here's a spoiler as to why I don't know that he'll be a free agent, but I have 3 of my 5 are Baltimore defenders, which
Yes.
pretty much just says unless they have a high cap, one of these guys is going somewhere. That's my guess. It happened to the Eagles last year. It'll happen to Baltimore this year. One of these 3 people I'm going to name from Baltimore is going. And if you can get a 26-year-old defensive tackle that's this good at pass rush, that'd be huge. I didn't even know his name until I was looking at free agents, to be honest. But that's some output right there.
I looked it up. The Ravens have $12 million in cap space for next year before cutting anybody they want to. So obviously, yeah, they have a lot of people to re-sign and not a lot of cap space to do it.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see if any of these guys start going somewhere else.
Yeah. Absolutely. My last one's the defensive lineman. Not very well known.
I had to look him up, literally.
Yeah. He was a Commanders draft pick, very solid backup defensive lineman for us. Went to Buffalo, has been very solid there. Still very young. I think he's an underrated guy, but he's one of those people that could sign a cheap prove-it deal and really break out somewhere, and that's Tim Settle for Buffalo. Loved him in Washington. Wish they could have kept him. Unfortunately, just didn't have room for him on the defensive line. But yeah, I always liked him, and I'm curious to see where he ends up and if he flourishes.
Another 26-year-old defensive tackle. So defensive tackles are very valuable.
Very good age, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of teams that have terrible defensive tackles. So, I don't think he re-signs in Buffalo because I don't think he plays every down there. He's not like a solid starter for them. So
yeah, I think it's
somewhere else.
I don't know if they run the 4-3 or 3. I think they run 3-4 because they have those 2 inside linebackers. So if they run a 3-4, then he's the backup to Ed Oliver.
Yeah,
because I believe Ed Oliver's the defensive tackle, right?
Yeah, they've got Ed Oliver. Maybe Ed Oliver plays end. I'm pretty sure he plays defensive tackle.
Bill's depth chart: defensive tackle Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones, followed by Tim Settle and Poona Ford.
Yeah, he's only started.
By the
2
way,
games since he signed with Buffalo, and he hasn't played at all this year. What the hell?
They run a 4-3, so I was wrong. I was thinking of Baltimore for some reason. But yeah. So
I don't know. What is he doing this year? He hasn't been on the field at all?
He has this year he's played 16 games. He's got 9 tackles. 9 solo, 5 assisted, 1 sack. One STF safety. Is that what that is? What is STF?
I think it's a stuff.
No, run stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. He has played. I don't know. Wikipedia didn't have his stats for this year. That was weird. But yeah, so I mean that's what I mean. He's just very underutilized.
Let's see. He is 6'3", 300 pounds. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I just remember watching him. Anytime I got a chance to play in Washington, he's got a high motor and just I always liked him. So we'll see what happens.
Well, my next one goes back to the team I just mixed up with Buffalo, and that is Patrick Queen, the 24-year-old inside linebacker from Baltimore, the one that stands in the middle of the field with the Roquan Smith. Patrick McQueen is up for free agency, and he's at 125 combined tackles this season with 3.5 sacks, and that is in the top 5, I believe. So a top 5 tackling in the league, inside linebacker, a free agent. If I had to guess, this is the guy I think that they would re-sign. If they could only assign one of the 3 I'm going to name, he is the one I would think. Because this is the guy in the middle of the field calling the defensive plays. I just feel like that's the one that would be re-signed. And if he doesn't, I would please replace Pasta Man with him.
I mean, yeah, he's would be, if he becomes a free agent, he will be probably the top target for a lot of teams because he is a beast.
He's a beast. He's only 24. I mean, that's crazy that he's up for free agency.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he was not re-signed before he hits this. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, he will be somebody to watch for sure. Commanders have a lot of cap space, and there are a lot of these guys that I'd love to see them target.
I'll bet.
My next one is, speaking of the Commanders, Chase Young. And this is purely based off of, I'm curious to see what kind of contract he gets. He has not played like a number 2 overall pick at all. May end up staying in San Francisco, but I have a feeling he's going to want to be paid like he's a top star, even though he has not earned it at all. So curious to see what happens there. And if he does go to a new team, if he ends up finally breaking out and living up to that potential, or if he just is an all-time bust. It's funny, I almost put Jeff Okudah with him because they're basically the same person at this point.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy to me because Montez Sweat got his contract with the Bears, right? He's already been re-signed, like almost instantly. Chase Young has not. And Chase Young hasn't done nearly what Montez Sweat has done for the Bears. He's got, 2.5 sacks in 6 games for the 49ers.
Yeah.
That's about
including
it.
He finished the game against the Commanders that everybody was like, oh, revenge game. And he finished it with 1 tackle.
Yeah, with a tackle.
And it's like, yep, welcome to the Chase Young experience.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think he'll become a free agent, and I don't think he'll get near as much money as he thinks he can get.
Yeah. I think he's going to want to be high paid and maybe end up signing a 1-year deal somewhere. But
he'll go to a bad team on a higher than a good team would have paid him contract, but not much, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll just never forget that instead of Chase Young and Jeff Okudah, we could have had Tua Tagovailoa and Justin Herbert on our teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Yay.
Great draft. 2020. The pandemic hit our teams apparently as well.
Yeah.
That COVID brain when they made those picks.
He's had COVID brain his entire tenure.
My next up is the Tampa Bay 34-year-old linebacker, Levante David, who is going to be a free agent. 124 combined tackles and 4.5 sacks, which is almost exactly comparable to the 10-year younger Patrick McQueen. Levante David just continues to do it in his career. So if he is not retiring, I mean, he's still doing it.
Reminds me of London Fletcher, somebody that even late in their career was just a solid tackling machine.
Well, I might as well throw this in here as well because I didn't put him on this list simply because of how old he was and he being an unrestricted free agent after 1 year in Seattle. But that's Bobby Wagner as well, who's already announced that he's 100% going to play next year again. And Bobby Wagner, I think, was at 120 combined tackles, which just under these guys, still playing at a high level. So, I mean, there are a lot of good middle linebackers that are going to be available this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see if Bobby Wagner stays in Seattle. I'd have to imagine after going back that he just ends up finishing his career there. But
that's what I would think.
Great defensive leaders.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've always liked Levante David. He is a very good linebacker.
Yes, he is. Well, my last one is Tampa Bay's other linebacker, Devin White. I like Devin White. I don't think he's having a huge year this year, but I still think he's a good tackler, good guy to run a defense. And again, being a fan of a team that desperately needs linebackers, if he becomes a free agent, I would be happy to see them go after him.
Devin White, where are you, sir? There he is. Let's see. 80 tackles this season, 2.5 sacks, 2 interceptions. Yeah, he's playing very well. Not to mention, he's not, only 25 years old.
That's the big thing. He's not, he's not, he's missed a couple games this year too, but like last year, 124 tackles, 2021, 128, 2020, 140. So yeah, when healthy, he's a beast. So.
Oh yeah, to be at 80 tackles in only 13 games, probably 14 games total. He's right. He was right on track if he played the entire season. Actually, he's probably ahead of previous seasons with those numbers. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I like him. We'll see what happens with his contract, but I'd be happy to see him in burgundy and gold.
I didn't realize my next one was almost at the top of the league for interceptions this season, because another Baltimore guy, of course, but the only one you ever really hear about in Baltimore is Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton's the one that made the Pro Bowl. But Geno Stone, the 24-year-old strong safety, has 7 interceptions this season. Second in the league to Deron Bland from the Cowboys. 7 interceptions. That's 9 awesome. Pass defenses, 68 combined tackles. Since I don't really know him that well, in my brain I start to think of Oruwariye for the Lions last year, with his 6 or 7 interceptions he had last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what happens with Geno Stone in this free agency, because you never really hear about him, and I'm guessing a lot of people never really heard about Oruwariye from the Lions back when he had his big interception year. But Geno Stone is set to become a free agent, so that is a big stat line for a guy that's about to go make some money. So I'm interested to see what happens for him.
Players like that are always the ones that they sign to a new team and then they just come out of nowhere and everyone's like, oh man, I had no idea they were that good. And it's like, no, they've shown flashes of it. And then when they get a bigger opportunity, they like completely break out. So
just become that guy. Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I like that. See what happens with him. But
well, there you go.
There are a lot of free agents that I'm going to be watching, offense and defense, coming up this year.
I'm telling you, man, it's going to be a fun off season.
It will be fun for sure. All right. Breaking into the news. First up, you've got Dalvin Cook was released by the Jets for some reason. I didn't read the story as to why. Is that why? So we just do that? He didn't do anything on the Jets. Why would you just allow that?
Because they didn't need him and the Jets are a mess.
Then they keep doing this type of shit. Everybody's going to want to do it. And that's so annoying. Anyways, he's now signed with the Baltimore Ravens, so he got his wish.
Yep, that's exactly he wanted. He went to the best contender in the league,
who has Gus Edwards. So the odds of him playing a good chunk, if once he gets integrated, are very, very good. At least they waited until after the fantasy season for all those Gus Edwards owners.
I think he'll play probably this week. Well, maybe I don't know about this week, but I'd imagine he would, since they're going to be resting a bunch of people. He might get in there, but I mean, he didn't do anything. It was in New York. He didn't look great. I don't think this makes the Ravens unbeatable. It just gives them a experienced backup.
Yep.
Yeah, but whatever. Go get your ring, Dalvin. You deserve it, I guess? Question mark.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Mason Rudolph to start over a healthy Kenny Pickett. This does not surprise me actually. The way he's playing, play the hot hand.
It just blows my mind that a first year or first round quarterback is going to get benched in his second year. He played like ass to start the year. Rudolph's playing well. The Steelers are fighting for the playoffs. I get it. It just does Kenny Pickett recover from this? I don't think so. I think the writing is on the wall for him.
I agree. And I wasn't convinced going into the year that he was the guy. I was hoping he would.
Him and George Pickens, man, looked so good in the preseason. I thought a breakout was coming, but no.
Nope, he definitely did not. And then he got benched, and now Mason Rudolph is the starter in the last week of the season. And if they make the playoffs, I'm guessing he'll be the starter in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. If Mason Rudolph wins that game to lead him to the playoffs, there's no way Kenny Pickett then starts in the playoffs.
Right? Yeah. So, next up, you've got Carson Wentz starting for the Rams in their finale. It's been over a year since his last NFL start.
Yeah. Hilarious. Watch him go out there and have a huge game, and then someone signs him next year to start.
Just making a big mistake. Because, so many quarterbacks have done that. And they've done it to the Lions, especially. What was that one freaking Seattle?
Flynn.
Yes, Matt Flynn made all the money he needed for a good life off one game on the Lions, and then never did a single thing for the Seattle Seahawks, who paid him all the money based on a game he played against the Lions in Week 17.
If I remember correctly, Matt Flynn lost the starting job to Russell Wilson as a rookie in training camp. So, they paid Matt Flynn a ridiculous amount of money, drafted Russell Wilson in the third round, and then Russell Wilson beats him in the training camp. And it's like, oh, way to waste money.
Yeah, it was real bad. Well, at least we got a good backup. Well, yeah, he's a career backup he's a career backup now making starter money on your bench.
Yeah, a highly paid black backup. I'll say blackup. Whoops.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Next up, you've got Tyreek Hill. I don't know if you saw this story yesterday. His house, $7 million mansion was on fire, and that fire was huge. It was crazy.
Yeah, I saw the videos.
Yeah, it just heartbreaking. I saw the video of him and his wife standing outside the house watching the firefighters try to put it out, and just, obviously very worried. Luckily, no one was hurt. No animals were hurt. Nothing, just the damage to the house. But apparently it was announced by the police from Miami-Dade, or is it Miami-Dade? Well, anyway, the county there. A child was playing with a lighter inside the house, and that's what caused the fire.
That's just nuts.
I mean, you can imagine there's probably $1 million of damage to that house because a kid got a hold of a lighter. That sucks. But I'm glad no one got hurt. So that's good.
Yeah, that's lucky that nobody got hurt. That's really lucky. But man, that fire was huge.
Yeah. To start from a lighter, this is crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it goes to show you, man. You never know what's going to happen. Don't let your kids play with lighters. Should be obvious, but
I'm not going to lie and say I didn't play with lighters as a kid.
I never played with lighters as a kid. To be perfectly honest, I didn't even like flicking them on until I was like a smoker, because I was like, I'm going to burn my hand doing this. How do I not burn myself? I didn't understand how it worked.
Me and my buddy used to make flamethrowers with hairspray and burn army men in the backyard. Yeah, like, and you've seen
amazing you didn't burn your house down.
and you've seen the videos these days of like the aerosol cans sucking the flame into the can and exploding.
Yes,
we were literally playing with fire.
I seem to remember us doing that with Axe body spray when we lived in Minnesota with Jeremy and Tony. I seem to think we did.
It was probably my idea.
But we
too.
were adults, so it's fine.
Yeah. Good times. So I understand. The kids.
Impressionable children listening to the podcast, do not do that.
Do not do what I just said, especially with aerosol cans. That will end badly.
I don't think they make aerosol cans anymore. Didn't they outlaw them because they're bad for the ozone? Or am I crazy?
You know, you're probably right.
I think they did. Yeah, I don't know. But either way.
The 99 stores got everything. 99-cent stores got everything. All right.
Hairspray from the 80s with aerosol spray.
All right.
Off the rails.
Well, we got our Pro Bowl rosters, so we'll start with the NFC, and I'll read off the offense, and we'll talk real quick if anything sticks out as missing or weird to you. Okay. Starting with the offense, quarterbacks. Quarterback starter, Brock Purdy. Backups, Dak Prescott and Matthew Stafford. So those are your three quarterbacks. Running back, Christian McCaffrey, starter. DeAndre Swift and Kyron Williams are the backups. Fullback, Kyle Juszczyk of the 49ers. Wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, Cowboys starter. A.J. Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles starter. Mike Evans and Puka Nacua. Tight end, George Kittle. And the Lions' own Sam Laporta. The rookie.
He's a rookie. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Tackle, Trent Williams, 49ers. Lane Johnson of the Philadelphia Eagles. And Penei Sewell of the Detroit Lions. You've also got Zach Martin of the Dallas Cowboys at guard, Chris Lindstrom of the Atlanta Falcons at guard, Landon Dickerson of the Philadelphia Eagles, and at center you've got Jason Kelce starting with Frank Ragnow of the Detroit Lions as the backup. So that's the offense. Any snubs?
I mean, the number one snub to me is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
That makes sense to me. Now the question is, who would you put him in over on that list?
Well, okay. First of all, why are there only 4 receivers?
So this is pre-coach player vote Pro Bowl players, right? So this is all just the vote, the fan vote players.
This is just the fan vote. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing. If Amon-Ra should absolutely make it then after they.
If he doesn't, then.
Yeah, because I mean, I understand the fan vote. I mean, but the Lions don't have as big of a fan base as some of these other teams. I get that. Amon-Ra isn't as well known as some of these other players. But
honestly, I might be wrong on that coach player thing. I don't know how that works.
Well, I know, like,
I might be thinking of the NBA.
There'll be players that sit out because they're hurt or they frankly don't want to participate. So there'll be backups that get promoted.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's weird that there's only 4 receivers on the roster. Like, I don't know. I've never seen an NFL team carry 4 receivers, so whatever. But I will say the reason Amon-Ra stands out to me is, okay, as good as Puka Nacua has been as a surprise receiver, St. Brown has more catches and more touchdowns and only 70 less yards.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me that Puka Nacua deserves to be in the Pro Bowl over Amon-Ra St. Brown just because he has 70 more yards. Like, I'm sorry. I get the story behind it, and it's really neat because low draft pick, all that, but Amon-Ra St. Brown has been more productive. So,
yep,
should have been in there over Puka.
Agreed. Mine actually goes to rushing with DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift had 5 touchdowns, 1,000 yards. Let's go look at David Montgomery. 975 yards, 12 touchdowns.
Yeah.
What in the world put DeAndre Swift in over anyone?
The fan vote.
I was gonna say that's literally all it can be because he didn't do anything. He ran the ball like most of these guys on this list did, but he didn't score ever. 5 touchdowns versus 12?
Because Jalen Hurts steals all the rushing touchdowns.
Even Jahmyr Gibbs, 915 yards, so 100 yards less than DeAndre Swift. He had 9 touchdowns himself. One of the Detroit running backs should have been in there.
Well, that's the David Montgomery is averaging 0.1 more yard per carry than DeAndre Swift. So Swift's out in more carries, and yeah, he has more yards, but he's doing less with those carries. I mean, 0.1 yards is not a lot, but it's still less. And then 7 less touchdowns. I mean, that's pretty significant. It's the fan voting. It's stupid. It's just dumb. It's
the fact that we got five Pro Bowlers on this first pass anyway is surprising to me. But I feel like the amount of people voting from around the country that like the Detroit story after the Hard Knocks, everything, I feel that that's definitely helped us. Now, it didn't help Amon-Ra. It didn't help David Montgomery, but we still have 5. There's only let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 teams with 5 or more players in the Pro Bowl, and the Lions are one of them. So I'm happy with that. But some of these picks, man, the fans got to pull their head out of their butts. All right, defense. Nick Bosa, starter. Montez Sweat, starter. Aiden Hutchinson, backup.
I believe that's Montez Sweat first Pro Bowl too, which is pretty cool for him.
He has been an animal since he went to the Bears. He's just absolutely changed that team. It's crazy. I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald, interior lineman, starter. Dexter Lawrence of the Giants, starter. Javon Hargrave of the 49ers, backup. Outside linebacker, Micah Parsons, Dallas Cowboys. Daniil Hunter of the Minnesota Vikings, starter. Also that free agent I was talking about. Hassan Reddick, Philadelphia Eagles. Backup. Fred Warner, middle linebacker, starter for the 49ers. Bobby Wagner, the backup for the Seattle Seahawks. Cornerback, you've got Deron Bland from the Cowboys, who is crazy that he's a Pro Bowler after only getting the start because of, I can't even remember his name. He hasn't played this entire year. That got hurt. What was his name? Got hurt in the...
Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, Trayvon Diggs got hurt in the preseason. Didn't play this year. Deron Bland, his replacement, makes a Pro Bowl, led the league in interceptions.
That's because he returned every interception for a touchdown, basically.
Yeah, 5 out of 8. That's pretty good, I'd say. Charvarius Ward, 49ers, starter. Jalen Johnson of the Bears, backup. Devin Witherspoon, the rookie from Seattle, also a backup. Free safety, this one makes a lot of sense because Jesse Bates of the Atlanta Falcons, starter, just a ridiculous free safety. That guy's been one of the highest scoring players on my dynasty team every week in my crappy year. He was like the bright spot for me. Strong safety, Budda Baker, starting from the Cardinals, which is crazy because he didn't play most of the season and somehow made starting safety for the Pro Bowl. Julian Love of the Seattle Seahawks, the backup. And then you've got some special teamers, which the only one I'd like to point out is Jalen Reeves-Maybin of the Detroit Lions. That's their 5th one that I said they had 5. Reeves-Maybin makes it as the gunner that tackles everything in his way. So that's pretty cool.
I have 2 on here that I'm surprised made it. Budda is one of them because, frankly, I can't think of anything Budda has actually done this season besides be popular. And honestly, Hutchinson, I a little surprised Hutchinson made it. I don't think he's really had a dominant year, and I mean I'm looking at his stats too, and he's not really near the top at anything. I'm happy he did. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he shouldn't have. I'm just saying I was a little surprised he did.
But the only thing he should be at the top up for is pressures. near the
Yeah,
field.
which they don't have as a stat.
So he gets to the court near the quarterback a ton. He hasn't got a lot of sacks though.
Yeah,
So.
but that's what I mean. Like I'm glad he made it. And that's it's just I was a little surprised to that one because I'm like the biggest gripe for Hutch is that he's constantly getting held and not stuff in the stat sheet. So I don't know. Maybe the Lions fans did their work on that one.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to see it though. Love Hutch. I don't know. Did he make it last year? Has he made it 2 years in a row?
I feel like he had a better year last year. I don't know if he made it though.
He had a bunch of interceptions. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I know he's the rookie of the year. Or defensive rookie of the year.
He's 6'7". I did not realize he was that tall.
Let me look on the snubs list that I also looked up if they've got any on there for defense. Most of their snubs they list are AFC. Kind of crazy. Well, let's just go to the AFC then. Quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, Miami Dolphins, starter. Lamar Jackson, backup. Patrick Mahomes, backup. Running back, Raheem Mostert, starter. James Cook, Bills, backup. Derrick Henry, Tennessee Titans, backup. Fullback, Alec Ingold, Miami Dolphins, starter. There wasn't a fullback for the NFC, was there? No, the Juszczyk.
Juszczyk.
That's right.
That's why Amon-Ra didn't make it, except put Juszczyk in there.
Yeah. Wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, starter from Dolphins. Amari Cooper, starter from the Browns. Keenan Allen from the Chargers, backup. Jamar Chase from the Bengals, backup. Tight end, Travis Kelce, starter from the Chiefs. David Njoku of the Browns, backup. I liked seeing that one. He was crazy this year. Tackle.
Especially with Flacco.
Yeah, right? Dude. Tackle, Laramie Tunsil, Houston Texans, starter. Deion Dawkins, Buffalo Bills, starter. Taron Armstead, Miami Dolphins, backup. Quentin Nelson, Indianapolis Colts, starter. Joel Bitonio, Cleveland Browns, starter. Joe Tooney of the Chiefs, backup. Center, Creed Humphrey of the Chiefs, starter. Tyler Linderbaum of the Ravens, starter. Or backup. Anything there that sticks out to you? Because I can tell you the first one I thought of.
I mean, honestly, not really. I don't really follow the AFC as much as I do the NFC because all of my teams do the NFC.
So the first one that stuck out to me was Derrick Henry and how many bad games he had this year. How many times did I say, oh, look, they lost, and he didn't do well. But I looked him up.
Oh, yeah.
He had 11 touchdowns and 1,000 yards. So, I mean, if DeAndre Swift can get it, the guy right below him in the stat sheet, as far as yards goes, can make it. And Henry still had 6 more touchdowns than him. So, yeah. That was the first one to me. But James Cook and Raheem Mostert, those three are the top for the AFC as far as running backs go for yards and touchdowns.
Yeah, Mostert was obvious.
Yeah. Really little tough for Travis Etienne because he had himself a Pro Bowl type year. Just happened to have 3 people better than him right in front of him. But Etienne has had a crazy year for Jacksonville.
Yeah, he was good for me in the Dynasty League, except for the last couple weeks,
right,
when I needed him most.
Now, I feel like there's got to be something as far as the wide receivers go. Like Jamar Chase, right? Devontae Adams, same stat line? No. Jamar Chase has almost the same stat line as Devontae Adams. Unfortunate for Stephon Diggs, who was above both of them. Even Adam Thielen was above him, but he didn't score as many touchdowns. I don't know. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's all the big names also do it. Got to get the NFL wants people watching the Pro Bowl games, so they got to get the big names out there.
Defense. Defensive end, Myles Garrett of the Browns starter, Max Crosby of the Raiders starter, Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals backup. Makes total sense. All three of them are in the top, 6, 7 of the sack list. Interior lineman, Chris Jones of the Chiefs starting, Keenan Williams of the New York Jets starting, and Justin Matabuke of the Baltimore Ravens is the backup. And that's the guy, the free agent guy I was talking about. Yep. So he made the Pro Bowl. Outside linebacker T.J. Watt of the Steelers starting, Khalil Mack of the Chargers starting, and Josh Allen of the Jaguars backup. This inside middle linebacker group is interesting, right? Roquan Smith, Baltimore Ravens starter, backup Patrick Queen, Baltimore Ravens. So all the Pro Bowl inside middle linebackers for the AFC from the Ravens.
That's a hell of a duo.
All right. Cornerback, Patrick Surtain of the Broncos, starter. Sauce Gardner of the Jets, starter. Jalen Ramsey of the Dolphins, backup. Denzel Ward of the Cleveland Browns, backup. Free safety, Justin Simmons of the Denver Broncos, starter. Minkah Fitzpatrick of the Steelers, backup. Strong safety, Kyle Hamilton of the Baltimore Ravens, starter. And no Geno Stone. Kyle Hamilton made it, which makes me wonder what his stats were. But Geno Stone is supposedly a strong safety as well. So for Kyle Hamilton to be the one that made it over him is interesting to me. And then the last...
I think it's probably because a lot of people don't know Geno Stone.
Yep, that's working against him. Finally, the special teamer I want to point out is Miles Killebrew, the other gunner that made the Pro Bowl from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Former Lions pick, third round strong safety, Miles Killebrew. Good to see him doing something still.
I remember when they drafted Killebrew, I wanted him on the Commanders. I was bummed.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised he's still out there doing stuff because he was drafted a long time ago. But he found his niche and he's running with it.
Yep.
So, all right, take us through the games.
All right, so week 17, we did a Saturday night football foreplay. You were very close on yours. You went heavy on the Cowboys to counteract the reverse jinx, and very close. Dallas money line, CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown, Dak Prescott 1+ pass touchdown, Dak Prescott 225+ yards, CeeDee Lamb 60+ yards, Tony Pollard 40+ yards, all hits. The one missed for you was Jake Ferguson 40+ receiving yards.
Yeah, I did a 7-play and managed to miss it by like
6 of them.
Jake Ferguson had like 33 yards. All he needed to do was catch another 8-yard pass, and I would have won.
Yeah, that would have been a heck of a win. But instead, you lose your bet and lose the game.
Yeah.
Worst possible scenario.
It was this bet was made to make me feel better if the Lions lost. And the way that they did lose, this did not make me feel any better.
No.
So
this was just a cherry on top.
Mm-hmm.
My bet was centered around the fact that I was playing against somebody in a fantasy championship starting both Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I missed 2 of my 4. I got David Montgomery anytime touchdown and David Montgomery 50+ yards, but Jahmyr Gibbs, no touchdown and less than 50 rushing yards. And I ended up winning that championship, so this worked out in my favor. I missed my bet, but I won a trophy.
Trophies are nice. Everybody likes trophies.
They are. That league doesn't usually have a trophy, but since this is the first year I've won it, I'm buying a trophy.
Nice.
I just have to put everybody else's name on. It's the same thing I did for our family league. When I finally won it in like year 4, I bought a trophy just to put my name on it.
So my name's on it twice?
It is. Yep. I just dropped it off today to get Ed, who won this year, his name put on it.
Nice.
One of these days, my name will go on it again. But in the meantime, I'll buy myself a trophy for this league. I'm the commissioner too, so I mean, after this year, whoever wins it can get it. But I'm buying myself one this year to celebrate. This is the first league I've won in a couple seasons. Feels nice.
Gotcha.
All right, so the games, Lions, Cowboys. Cowboys get the win. Do you want to discuss the end of that game? I mean, we're already nearing an hour just with the Pro Bowl stuff, so try to keep it brief.
Um, there's literally only one thing that has to be said, and that is Decker reported.
Yes.
As all the
Yes.
billboards all around Detroit say, Decker reported. That's all.
Are
you
they
have to
doing
say.
that? That's fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
That's awesome.
Decker reported.
I hope they do that wherever they. Well, I guess they'll be playing a home playoff game. I want that message like all over the playoff game.
Well, and one other thing, because I'm
should
assuming if you're listening to this podcast, you've heard about this all week because everybody talked about it, so I'm not going to go over it. But the NFL sending out that video of how to report using the Lions Cowboys game as the example of how to do it, or trying to use the video from that game and showing what to do in this. You can literally still frame the video where Decker, the only person. So when you are reporting, you're supposed to rub on your chest when you're talking to the referee to signal that you're the one reporting. There's still frames in the video that they sent out that the Lions supposedly did it wrong in, and we're using as an example of a wrong way to do it, of Decker with his hand on his chest while talking to the referee. So I don't know what they were doing. I don't know who they think they're fooling by the referee just completely bold-faced lying in his report, and then the NFL sending out a video thinking they're really doing something when they're literally showing evidence of it being done right despite their call being wrong. I don't know what they were hoping to accomplish, but it just pissed off everyone even more and made them look inept. So screw the NFL. The Lions won that game, and that's all I care about.
Yep, exactly. They were trying to point out like, well, this is what he did wrong, and instead all they did was show how dumbass their referee is.
This is what they did wrong, except you can literally see him doing the right thing. The thing you described in the video while it's happening. But okay, shut up. Next game. Who do we got?
Cardinals Eagles. What a win for the Cardinals. And I want to point out that I did mention last week that I thought the Cardinals could win that game.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't bet it, obviously. I should have, but I was like, I don't want to piss money away.
No, this was salt in the wound is what I call this game, because the Cardinals winning this game put Dallas at number 2. So after the night before, them winning this game just pissed me off even more. Thanks, Cardinals. Great job. You screwed your pick.
Well, it
you
also
screwed
ruined the Cardinals draft pick. Yeah, because now they
good
can't
job.
be higher than 4.
Great win.
Yeah. No Marvin Harrison for you guys. Yay. Unless 3 quarterbacks go. We'll see. But it was fun to see them fight back in the second half. I will say that Jonathan Gannon is winning me over as a coach. I'm optimistic for next season after they get some more help on the defense, better pass catchers. I like the way they're headed though. I feel more optimistic than I did with Steve Keim in the last couple of years. So that's nice at least.
I agree.
And then for
after
Eagles,
the first season of what's his face, after the first season of the old coach Cliff Kingsbury, I did not have any hope.
No,
I'm like, this guy can't do anything.
Always looked like a fucking idiot.
But after this, sure, the Cardinals have a bad record this season, but they also have no talent. And with no talent on the team, they were able to scramble together as many wins as they did and look like a team playing for their coach the entire season, not just laying down and dying. So,
yeah,
I'm excited.
James Conner the last couple of weeks has looked like a beast.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, and then for the Eagles, oh boy, Eagles look terrible. It's funny. I have nothing against it. I mean, they're a divisional rival, but I hate all divisional rivals equally. It'll be interesting if the Eagles kind of like lose in the first round of the playoffs because, I don't know, they're the heavy favorite. Well, the 49ers, I guess, but like the Eagles were the heavy favorite for most of the year, and then lately they've just been looking completely lost.
1-4 in their last 5 games. Yeah, they're just bad right now.
Yeah, so maybe they'll turn it around, but I don't know. Looking more and more like we're gonna have a 49er Cowboy NFC Championship game. Hope not.
Ugh.
Patriots, Bills. Bills won. I remember the line on this game was like 14, and they won by 6. That's funny. The only thing about this game that matters to me is the fact that as of right now, the Commanders and Patriots are tied in the record, and the Commanders hold the number 2 pick based off a tiny strength of schedule. I was hoping the Patriots would win this game so we could lock up the number 2 pick, but gotta wait till week 18.
Yep.
Falcons, Bears. What we talked about, the Bears have been looking ever since they got Montez Sweat. They're seriously, I think they're 6-2 in their last 8 games, and those 2 losses they held leads in the fourth quarter, the Lions and Saints games. So the Bears are 1 blown lead away from being right smack dab in the playoff picture, which at the beginning of a year when we were just ripping on them, it is amazing to see how far they've come.
Yeah, what was their click on it, move, let's go. Yeah, so they started 1-5.
Yeah.
And we were just like, until they win, I'm never picking them again. And now I'm like, until they lose, I'm not picking them against them.
Yeah, that one win was against the Commanders, which doesn't mean shit. So, yeah, it was like they were the worst team in the NFL, and it was all, the Bears are going to own the top 2 picks in the draft.
Back when Montez Sweat was on the Commanders?
Yeah. Well, and they traded for Sweat, and then all of a sudden it's like, he made everyone else on the defense better. No. It's just, it's amazing. I'm just really happy for Montez Sweat. He was the one player I wanted the Commanders to keep, but hey, you get a 2nd-round pick for him. I get it. But, yeah. And then the Falcons, Arthur Smith deserves to be fired. The Falcons are technically in the playoff race, but dear God, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
No. It looks bad.
Raiders, Colts. Colts get the win. Close game. Raiders playing hard for Alec Pierce, interim head coach. Curious to see if they end up just keeping him after the season or if they do decide to hire somebody else, because they've looked like a completely different team ever since they fired Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, and Aiden O'Connell coming along very nicely. Played very well the last few weeks.
Yep. Yeah, everybody talks about the Raiders getting a new quarterback in the offseason, and I'm just like, I don't know. I think they like O'Connell. I don't know if they'll really decide to move on from him, but yeah.
Well, let me see. What are his stats so far this season? He's at 1,900 yards, a 61% completion rating, and 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So, average right now. So I can see the talk. But, I mean, he's been playing well recently, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. As a rookie who started halfway through the season, though, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Didn't get any time with the ones in training camp, I'm sure. So. Rams, Giants. Rams almost blew this game, which would have been hilarious because it would have thrown the playoffs in complete just up in the air. But they got the win. And it's funny for the Giants, too. If they win that game, they plummet down the draft board. So, best case scenario for both teams, for sure.
Yeah. They're both happy with the outcome, and it was a good game.
Yes. Buccaneers blew their chance to lock up the division. Baker looked terrible. Very disappointing. We were just talking about Baker Mayfield earning a contract extension in Tampa Bay, and then he goes out and does that against a division opponent.
In a game that they could have, won the division, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they would have won the division, or at the very least, they would have had the clear path to win the division if they would have won that game.
Yeah, now it's just a shit show.
Yeah. Because
there's 3 teams fighting for that home field game. It's weird.
Yeah. It's I don't know what's gonna happen. I want the Bucks to make it. I don't know who's going to, though. It'll be interesting. But yeah. 49ers, Commanders, closer than I thought. I give the Commanders credit for that. Or maybe the 49ers were just sleepwalking through that game, but it was definitely a lot closer than I expected it to be.
They were sleepwalking the first half, that's for sure. What was it, 13-10 at halftime? I'm like, the Commanders might win this game?
Well, that was never in question. But um, but yeah, I think the biggest thing coming out of this game was Christian McCaffrey, who I'm sure a lot of people were starting in fantasy football championships, did nothing, and probably broke a lot of hearts.
Hey, I don't feel bad for him. You had him the entire
I wasn't starting him. Yeah, I wasn't starting him, so I don't care. But there are people out there that probably were very upset.
Yeah.
But for the Commanders, best case scenario, keep losing. We're going to lose again this week. If the Jets beat the Patriots and the Commanders lose to the Cowboys, then we'll have the number 2 pick locked up, and that'll make me very happy.
Well, I am sorry that I cannot root for that. I will be rooting for the Commanders to win. I know that the odds of them winning are very low, but I will still be rooting for them to win.
It'll just move the Lions up to the number 2 seed?
If the Cowboys lose and the Eagles lose, the Lions move to the 2 seed.
Okay.
So I mean,
what does that really make a big difference? Like
it does, because then they don't have to go to fucking Dallas.
Oh, I see.
Which should
You're
never have been the
later on
case
in the playoffs.
anyway.
Yeah.
Should never have been the case anyway. So it is just right the wrong from this last week.
Yeah, the problem with that is that you need the Giants and Commanders to get wins against the Cowboys and Eagles. That is a pipe dream, my friend.
Last time the Eagles played
Sam Howell beat the Cowboys in Week 18 last year. Maybe you can do it again.
And the last time the Giants played the Eagles, they only lost 34-31. So
yeah, but the last time the Commanders played the Cowboys, we lost by what, 28?
I don't know. I don't know.
It was
Listen.
ugly. Thanksgiving, we got murdered.
Well, they have revenge on the mind then.
Yeah, that's adorable. What's next? Panthers, Jags. I thought the Panthers had a chance in this game because the Jaguars hadn't been looking good. This was the Panthers' next best opportunity to get a win this season, and then they got waxed. I mean,
By
the Jaguars
C.J.
just kicked a bunch
Beathard.
of field goals, but
By
yeah.
C.J. Beathard and what's his face? Brandon McManus.
Yep. And the Panthers are just a hot mess and have no first-round pick, which is hilarious.
Yeah, it's sad.
But
They're going to be looking at a lot of free agents.
yeah. It's crazy, too, because like people are talking about that trade the Bears made now is like one of the best trades in NFL history. Like they traded they traded down, and they got DJ Moore and next year's number 1 overall pick. Like that is a pretty good haul. Fuck. And then they're going to trade that number 1 pick for more things. So yeah, crazy.
I'd still say, well, I mean, I don't know as far as like all-time trades but no one could have foreseen the Rams first-round pick the year after they won the Super Bowl becoming Aiden Hutchinson at number 3.
Yes, yeah,
So-
that is well, and the Lions got Goff, who ended up leading them to the playoffs now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is pretty great. Dolphins, Ravens. I thought this game would be more competitive, but the Ravens destroyed them.
They literally ran away with this game. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was upsetting. I wanted this to be a competitive game, but
Every time I looked at the score, I'm like, the Ravens are doing to the Dolphins what they did to the Broncos. Like, what?
yeah, even the backups for the Ravens came in and scored.
Yeah,
Like,
Tyler
that's-
Huntley threw a touchdown. Pro Bowler Tyler
Yes.
Huntley threw a touchdown.
Pro Bowler, yes.
Yeah.
I think honestly the Ravens really do look like the best team in the NFL right now, and that's interesting to see if that continues through the playoffs and they just run away with it or what happens. But yeah, they are.
Yeah, that game wrapped up the
Light
number
years
1
ahead of
pick for
everybody
them, or number 1 spot in
Seed.
the AFC. So
Yeah, and they look it. That's for sure.
oh, easy.
Texans, Titans. Texans come back, get a win. CJ Stroud comes back. Got a good win against a terrible team. I was hoping he would do more, but he won me a championship. It's good enough for me. So
I just got
Bummer he had to miss those 2 games because I think if he had played and they had won at least one of them, the Texans probably would have already won that division. So
I just got a notification from Yahoo Sports, and it's a quote. It says, "I guess I just didn't do enough." And it's Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh, come on. He's, and but that's I'm sure he's being sarcastic, which I love responses like that. At least he's not angry and going off. He's just gonna belittle.
It's passive aggression, like all Amon Ra has always been.
I like the TikTok that I have.
Like being drafted.
Nice. Yeah.
Being drafted behind 9 other wide receivers and being who he is.
Yep. Well, motivation for the playoffs.
Yep.
Steelers, Seahawks. Steelers, Mason Rudolph, the magic continued. He was close enough to Christmas that he kept it going.
I called it because I said the Steelers are going to fight as hard as they can in this game, knowing full well they're not going to win this week, because that's the game they needed to win to keep the winning season streak of Mike Tomlin intact, and they kept it intact.
They did.
Because this week they're playing Baltimore, and they are not winning that game. So they needed to win last week.
They might. Baltimore's resting everybody.
Okay, well, true.
Yeah.
But
I think the Steelers, though, I don't know if they have a chance at the playoffs.
They do.
I don't think they do. Do they?
They do. Yeah.
Okay.
They were in when I was looking at the playoff picture thing with all the different things. I can't remember what they need, but it's a win and someone else to lose, and they're in.
Okay.
And there's like there's like 3 different teams that can lose with their win that put them in the playoffs. So there's a good chance.
All right, here we go. Yeah, Houston needs to lose, Jacksonville needs to lose, and Pittsburgh needs to win. So that would be a pretty big break for Mason Rudolph to be able to get that team to the playoffs. And then the question would have been, why the hell wasn't he starting over Mitch Trubisky at the
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I could have told him not to start Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, I don't know why Rudolph got. I remember he was their backup for a while, and then all of a sudden it was just Trubisky. And then even when Trubisky looked bad, they're like, "No, we're gonna keep Mitch in," which he's gotten every chance that he deserves. At a certain point, it's like, no, you're just not good. Chargers, Broncos. This was an ugly game. His game was so boring.
It was.
Broncos get the win.
And Stidham, wow, what a game from him.
Yeah. Oh man, I can see why they benched Russell Wilson.
20 of 32 for 224 yards and a touchdown.
Nope.
Missed half his passes all.
Blow that offense away.
Yeah. Great work.
Yeah. That's just Sean Payton just hates Russell Wilson. That's just all it is. Bengals, Chiefs get a win. The best part about this game for me, Harrison Butker, I picked him up on Friday before the game. Played him in that fantasy championship. He was my highest scorer with 24 points. And I won that damn game. It was an ugly win, but watching this game, and I just kept seeing them kick field goals, thinking to myself, oh my God, this kicker's going to win me a championship.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's ugly.
6 field goals.
Yes.
Like I said last week, the Jake Browning magic is worn off. And it all happened after he yelled the thing about cutting him.
Yes.
Ever since he yelled that, he's been bad.
And then he's come back down to earth.
Yeah. Someone should have stayed humble.
Yep. And then Packers-Vikings. Packers absolutely destroyed the Vikings, which I'm sorry, but when you're starting Jaron Hall at quarterback, that's what's going to happen.
I mean, you at least won games with Dobbs, but you just could not go back to him, apparently.
Yeah, they went back to Nick Mullins because he can move the ball. And he did. I mean, he moved it up and down the field. He just never got it in the end zone.
He just threw it to the other team every time he got towards the end zone.
Yeah. I don't know, man. But all I know is the Vikings aren't making the playoffs now.
Yep.
So, sucks for them.
Sucks that it's the Packers that probably will now.
Yeah. And it's funny. The Packers played the Lions at home week 18 last year in a win and you're in game and lost. Now they play the Bears at home in week 18 in a win and you're in game. I want them to lose so freaking badly. Like,
Nah.
it would be so great for them to lose 2 straight win-you're-in games to divisional opponents.
What do the Bears need to be in? Who do they need to lose?
They're officially out. They needed the Vikings and Packers to tie on Sunday night, and so they are eliminated. But they can still win for pride and for knocking their rivals out of the playoffs. It's like the Lions last year. You're not going to make the playoffs, but keep them out.
I remember after the Rams got screwed out of a win in the last week of the season, I was like, oh, cool. Well, now the Packers can get in, but we can't. Who cares? Dan Campbell, after the game, was like, how did you motivate your team to win this game after not making the playoffs? He's like, easy. Keep them out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's motivation for anyone.
Well, and for the Bears, I think I don't know what the record the last couple of years is, but they've been terrible against the Packers for a long time. And it would be great for the fan base, I'm sure, to win that game. So yeah, I just really want to see the Packers. I don't want to see the Packers in the playoffs. I don't want to hear Chris Collinsworth talk about Jordan Love like he's Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Like that was so
over
annoying
and over and over. God, stop.
You were at work, so were you watching that game? And Chris
Yes.
Collinsworth just and all Jordan Love did was jump in the air as he was throwing, so his feet weren't on the ground. And Chris Collinsworth was like, "That's vintage Packer quarterback play." It's like I see every quarterback do that. Like. Such a jackass.
No one can make a throw like that every time they talk about Patrick Mahomes, even though Matthew Stafford's been side-arming since he's been in the league.
Yeah, it's just, God, I hate Chris Collinsworth so much. Oh, anyways. So week 18 for our foreplay, I wanted to ask you, do we want to do Saturday night's game, Houston, Indy, or do we want to do Sunday night, Buffalo, Miami?
What were the options?
Houston or Indy Saturday night, or Buffalo and Miami Sunday night. My vote's Buffalo, Miami, because I feel like that's going to be the higher scoring, more competitive, win the division type game. And I think
I agree, and because also I might not even watch Houston, Indianapolis, because it'll just piss me off. Because the NFL mentioned that they're demoting Brad Allen and his crew, but somehow put them in charge of that game in primetime. Yes. Again, a week later. I don't want to watch them. I don't want to hear that guy talk ever again. I don't want to know how you screw this game up. It's just fucking ridiculous that guy is in charge of a primetime game again. 1 week after screwing up against the Lions-Cowboys game so much. The NFL's like, yeah, we'll take care of this by giving him another big game. I'm like, okay, you are stupid. You're just real dumb.
Yeah,
so let's go with Buffalo, Miami.
They were like, Brad Allen wouldn't be a head ref anymore. That's what a demotion to me means, but apparently the NFL has different definitions.
I have no idea what it means because that's like the exact same thing you were doing last week. Sunday night, Monday Night Football, and Saturday night. You got the same game the second week in a row as if nothing fucking happened. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Well, I've already picked my foreplay, so I'll go over it. I'm just going heavy offense on this one. Tua 250 plus passing yards. Josh Allen 250 plus passing yards. Tyreek Hill 100 plus receiving yards. Stephon Diggs 100 plus receiving yards. I want to see them air the ball out. I want to see points scored. I want to see a competitive game, and that's what I'm betting on. No anytime touchdowns. I thought about it, but I'm going yards.
Well, stay tuned next week to know what mine was, because I have no idea at this very moment.
That's fine. I went with something. Plus, this is actually pretty. What is it? Plus 1228. So
I'll say that's got to have a pretty decent number on it. So.
Yeah. So we shall see.
I like it.
All right. Okay. So you want to go through the playoff picture?
Yeah. So I got the playoff picture pulled up here. basically, here's the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, and the Browns are all in on the AFC side. In the hunt currently, the Jaguars, the Bills, and the Colts all have a 99% chance to make the playoffs if they win. If they lose, Jaguars have a 21% chance to make the playoffs if they lose. The Bills have a 67% chance to make the playoffs if they lose. And the Colts have a less than 1% chance to make the playoffs if they lose. So the only one really here in a good spot as far as losing is the Bills. The Jaguars and the Colts are both fighting for their division, right? With the Texans?
Yes.
Yeah, so the Texans are also on the bubble. 99% chance to win it if they win, to make the playoffs if they win. Less than 1% if they lose. And the Steelers are currently at a 66% chance to make the playoffs if they win, and a 16% chance if they lose. So the Steelers are also on the bubble. It'll be interesting to see which one fill out those last three spots.
There's a lot of scenarios for those spots in the AFC.
Yeah, and all of them involve ties. A lot of them involve ties, so we're not going to go over the actual scenarios because of the fact that there are just so many ties which aren't going to happen. So it'll be interesting to see, but those are your last. How many spots are there? 7, right?
Yes.
Playoff spots? Yeah, so for the last 3 spots, it'll either be the Jags, Bills, Colts, Texans, or Steelers, with the Colts, Bills, and Jags having the best chance. And then in the NFC, the 49ers, Cowboys, Lions, Eagles, and Rams are all in. You just got to get that last 2 in there. And right now, in the hunt, and with the best position, is the Buccaneers, who have a 99% chance to make the playoffs if they win, less than 1% if they lose. The Packers have a 99% chance to make it if they win, and a 16% chance to make it if they lose. On the bubble, there are 4 freaking teams in the NFC. You've got the Seahawks, who have only a 44% chance to make it if they win. Less than 1% if they lose. The rest of these are less than 1% if they lose, so I'm not going to say it for them. But the Saints, 8-8, 50% chance to make the playoffs if they win. The Vikings have a 10% chance to make the playoffs if they win. So they're the lowest team with a chance to make the playoffs. And then the Falcons with 36% chance to make the playoffs if they win. So it's looking a whole lot like it's going to be the Bucs and the Packers, but in that NFC South, you still have the Saints and the Falcons with a chance. So it'll be interesting. I don't know what the scenario is for the Vikings or the Seahawks. Those are interesting.
I was on the playoff machine on ESPN because it's fun to mess around with. If the Seahawks beat the Cardinals, the Bears beat the Packers, the Seahawks are the 7th seed.
Gotcha.
Because if the Packers win, they're in.
So how's the Vikings? I'm assuming it's the Vikings have to win, Packers have to lose, and then someone else has to lose.
It's so the Vikings have to beat the Lions, the Falcons have to beat the Saints, Cardinals have to beat the Seahawks, Bears have to beat the Packers, and the Vikings will be the 7th seed.
Jesus, that's why it's 10%. You have to have all that happen to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, the Lions have to lose, which I mean they still have a chance to improve their seeding, so they're not resting people.
Nope.
So. And the Vikings look fucking terrible. So yeah.
Have they announced a starter for the Vikings game this week?
I think they said they're doing Nick Mullins again.
They are going to Nick Mullins. Oh God! And the last time he played the Lions, he had 4 interceptions. So
there you go.
Look for that.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Moving on to picks. Last week, we were deadlocked, both 10-5. So I did not gain any ground on you.
Thank goodness, because I gave you enough room to pull it in these last few weeks.
Well, yeah, I got closer, but
well, you're right there. If I had lost a couple more than you had gotten.
well, the Seahawks Steelers game was the big one because that was since it was both of our bonuses, that was like a 2-win swing either way. So
Yep,
that
true.
that was a big one. But for the season, you were sitting at 173 and 90. I'm at 168 and 103, so still 5 behind you. And this is the last week, so I'm just gonna have to make some swings.
Alrighty.
So we're starting off Steelers at the Ravens. Steelers favored by 3.5.
Are they really? Because of how many people this Ravens are sitting?
Yeah.
Who are they sitting?
Well, Lamar's not playing. I mean, that's a big one.
Yeah, but they got a Pro Bowl backup.
Oh, it's actually 4 now too. So Steelers by 4.
How are they? Are Patrick McQueen playing?
I don't know the
Those
full
guys?
list of everybody that's sitting.
I mean, this is crazy. Yeah, okay. Well, this makes it a lot more interesting. I'll say since the Steelers are still in the playoff hunt and the Ravens are sitting everyone, I'll go with the Steelers.
Steelers. Yeah, I think the Steelers have way more motivation to win this game, so I got to go with the Steelers too.
Even though I don't want to, I honestly still feel like the Ravens are going to win it, but
Pick them.
everything's backed up against the Steelers on this, or against the Ravens for this one. So I'm gonna keep the Steelers for that one.
All right. Next one is the Texans at the Colts. Texans favored by 1.5.
That one's for the division, right?
Yes.
No, actually, it's not because Jacksonville would have to lose for this game to be for the division. So this is for the division if Jacksonville loses.
But the winner of this game could still be the 7th seed. So
right.
I mean, both teams still have
I know they still have a reason to win the game. I'm looking at all ways that Brad Allen might think to screw this game and trying to figure out who will win. Because I want the Texans to win, which makes me think the Colts will. So you can just put the Colts because I know I want the Texans to win.
Okay. Well, I will go with the Texans because I need to be different from you. So, and I like CJ Stroud. I want him in the playoffs in his rookie year. I think that'd be cool.
Oh, so do I.
Yeah.
I also wanted the Lions to beat the Cowboys last week, but what I want doesn't happen with Brad Allen.
You should have picked the Cowboys. You abstained and you lost. You should have just gone with the Cowboys, and that would have totally jinxed them. All right. Falcons at Saints. Saints -3.
Give me the Saints. The Falcons are bad.
Going with the Saints. Oops. Going with the Saints. Now, I need the Saints to win for the Commanders' number 2 pick chances based off strength of schedule. So I'm going to go with the Falcons and just cover my bases. That way, if the Falcons win and ruin our chance of getting the number 2 pick, at least I'll get this right.
Oh, gotcha. Makes sense.
I also don't. I mean, I don't want either one of these teams in the playoffs, but whatever.
Yeah.
Browns at Bengals. Bengals by 7.
Why are the Bengals by 7? Oh, they're sitting Flacco. That's why.
Yeah, Browns are sitting a bunch of people too.
Yeah. I mean, they're at home, so I'll take the Bengals.
Yeah, same. Browns, I don't think they can improve their seeding at all, so they're literally resting like everyone. So I'll go with the Bengals. Jaguars at Titans. Jags by 3.5.
I saw what happened to Will Levis last week, so I think the Jaguars can pull this one out. Even if Will Levis is playing this week, that guy's got beat up all year long.
I don't think he's going to play. I think they're going to go to Tannehill. I mean, the fun thing is that he's just going to go off. But the Jags are playing for the playoffs. So I'm gonna go with the Jags too.
Gotcha.
I don't know how many we're gonna end up having different by the end of this. I might have to switch some later. Bucks at Panthers. Bucks by 4.5. Excuse me.
That's Bucks for sure. They gotta win this week.
The Panthers. I'm never picking the Panthers again. Not even next year until they win a game. Jets at Patriots. Patriots by 1.5.
Oh God. That's a hard one to pick.
It's gonna be an ugly game.
Yeah. I say all around the Jets are better. I'm gonna pick the Jets.
Damn. I was hoping you go Patriots because I'm going Jets because again that is the worst case scenario for our number 2 pick. If the Patriots win this game, we get the number 2 pick, no problem. But if I don't see them win this game, even though they're favored, which is weird, I just don't see them winning.
Yeah.
We'll see. Vikings at Lions. Lions by 3.
Lions.
Yeah, come on. Lions. Easy. Vikings suck. Bears at Packers. Packers by 3.
Bears.
Well, I want the Bears to win, but I got to be different from you, so I'll go Packers. Cowboys at Commanders. Cowboys by 13.5.
Cowboys. But I want the Commanders to win.
I don't want the Commanders to win. I should pick them. No, I'm kidding. I'm going with the Cowboys. Seahawks at Cardinals. I'll be at this game. Seahawks by 3.
I mean, honestly, I feel like the Cardinals are going to screw their pickup even more and win.
You're going with Cardinals?
I think I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
I'd be very happy to see them beat Seattle in the final week, but I'm going to go with the Seahawks. It's funny that I do think the Cardinals will win this game. They've been looking very good lately. I think the Seahawks are reeling. I think the Cardinals can win this game, but I have to be different from you, so I'm going with the Seahawks. So. Rams at 49ers. 49ers by 4. Which is funny because they're also resting a bunch of people.
They're starting Carson Wentz, so I'm taking the 49ers.
Yeah. Well, the 49ers are resting people too, but I guess the Rams are as well, so it's just a bunch of backups playing. But yeah, I'm going with the 49ers.
Don't watch that game.
Oh, no. Eagles at Giants. Eagles by 5.5.
Eagles at Giants. Oh, I'll take the Eagles again, even though I want the Giants to win.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles. The Eagles have to end the season with a win the way they've been going the last couple of weeks. If they lose this game, they're just going to get rolled out of the playoffs in the first week.
Yeah, for sure.
Broncos at Raiders. Raiders by 2.5.
Raiders. If the Broncos are starting Stidham, there's no way I'm picking them.
No, the Raiders have looked good recently. Chiefs at Chargers. Really? Chargers by 3.5? Yeah, Chargers by 3.5. The Chiefs must be resting people.
I mean, even the Chiefs have been bad this season, and so even if they weren't resting people, this would be an interesting game. So I'm going to take the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers as well. Last one, big one. Bills at Dolphins. Bills by 2.5.
Bills. Dolphins have been not very good lately. And the Bills are playing for their division, right?
Yes, both of them are, yeah.
So, I'll take the Bills.
Oh, damn. We only have 4 different right now. I gotta take the Bills, too. I gotta at least get 2 more different to have a chance to win it all. I'm gonna take the Carson Wentz-led Rams because Carson Wentz having a huge game in Week 18 and getting a contract off of that would make me laugh. So I'll switch to the Rams. That gives us 5 different, and then I need one more to win. So let's go with Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley to beat the Steelers with the Ravens.
That's a good one.
Yeah. There. So that's 6 different. That at least gives me a mathematical chance to win in the final week. Otherwise, they'd just be pointless. So. All right. Well, there you go. I'm guessing you're going to end up on top, which is awesome because, 0.658 winning percentage on your picks this year. That's pretty impressive, man. That's literally, if you were betting each one of your picks, you would be positive money. Like, that's awesome.
I like positive money.
Yeah, I think next year you guys should do that. Just starting week 1, just put $1 on every game.
Well, I need to figure out how many games there are in a season, allocate that many dollars, and then just bet $1 every game.
Well, there's 272 games, I think.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good to go. Rain or shine, everybody gets $1.
Yeah, because you would, based off the way you've been picking this year, you make yourself a pretty little pocket change. All right. So last fantasy sleepers, where I didn't make picks this week because fantasy season basically
is over. Yeah.
Yeah. But for last week, you had Jared Stidham, quarterback. He was ranked 20th, finished 19th. I had picked Easton Stick in the same game. He was ranked 18th and finished 29th. It was an ugly, ugly game.
Yeah. This next one confuses me. As far as numbers go, you put it green, but...
Oh, yeah. I don't know what the hell I was doing. Well, let me change that then. All right. Well, running backs, you had Ty Chandler, who was ranked 24th, finished RB 32. I had Jaleel McLaughlin, he was ranked 33rd, finished 33rd. Receivers, you had Cooper Kupp, ranked 20th, finished 32nd. I had Brandon Ayuk, ranked 19th.
Even though he did score a
5.
touchdown. Cooper Kupp did score a touchdown, like I called.
He did. I think that was literally all he did.
Yeah.
Ayuk finished wide receiver 5. My goal in fantasy next year is just pick on the Commanders' defense until they prove to me that they're not the worst in the NFL.
And ask me what tight ends you should draft, even though I hate drafting.
Well, and that's what's funny. You hate picking tight ends, but you nail it constantly because you picked Juwan Johnson. He was ranked 23rd and finished tight end 1.
Whoopsie.
I had Tommy Tremble. He's ranked 29th and finished with 1 point, basically. So both of us have 1s in there somewhere. But yeah, next season you won't have tight ends to pick.
Thank goodness.
Bummer. All right. So for the week, you were 1-2-1. I was 1-2-1. For the season, you were 28, 23, and 9. I was 26, 26, and 12. So again, you're on a hot streak when it comes to podcast picking things.
Right? Jay, I'd stayed 2 ahead of you in this almost the entire season.
Do you do any daily fantasy?
I don't.
Oh, you should. Clearly, you know how to pick tight ends at least.
Yeah. What am I thinking? Maybe I'll try some of that. I have the app. I just never use it. It uses the same money as my FanDuel sportsbook, so I don't know why I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I do it every now and again. I don't do the millionaire one because that's just pissing money away, basically. But I'll do the ones where it's like $5 to enter, and if you finish in the top like 25% or something, you win double your money, which is, it adds up over time.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to win $1 million, but it's like playing a scratcher, basically. Like that's all it is.
Yeah, right. You think it's skill based, but it's really not.
No, it's not at all. It's just it's random bullshit. But all right, well there you go. That is our final podcast of the regular season.
But it is. We'll be coming back
our
for
playoff podcast will be much faster.
Playoff podcast much faster, definitely, and it will be very interesting seeing what happens in Week 18 here, going into the playoffs next week. So, for everybody, as far as the season goes, I want to say thanks to everybody that listens and watches the VODs. I know that there's a lot of chunks of people that will watch the VODs afterward and listen to the audio podcasts. So thank you for that, for listening all season. Hopefully you continue through the playoffs, even if your teams didn't make it, because I can W honorary line fans very easily. So, and I'm totally fine with that. Everybody jump on the bandwagon. We're going places, I hope. But yeah, if you don't follow the podcast on YouTube, you can go to youtube.com/@CoffinCorner. If you don't listen to the podcast and you watch it, but you think it'd be easier to listen, you can find us on any podcast program or app that you can use. You will be able to search for us on there. Just look for the Coffin Corner pylon logo and you will find us. As far as Twitter goes, Coffin Corners. You can find us at Coffin Corners. And for TikTok, you can find us at Coffin Corner Podcast. If you use TikTok, please go follow Coffin Corner Podcast. We would really like to stream on TikTok over YouTube. And there's strict guidelines of the amount of followers you have to have on there. And we are about, let's say, 1/5 of the way there. So if you listen, but you don't follow on TikTok, even if you don't use your TikTok account, just go follow. It'll help us out trying to get to that goal for next season. And hopefully we can do something over there next season and see what happens. But for everybody here,
what get us more followers on TikTok is if you posted that Taylor Swift TikTok from like 3 weeks ago.
I know, I've already screwed that up.
Yeah. How are we supposed to get more followers if you don't post the amazing TikTok idea?
I was sick. Maybe I was sick the week after.
Not for the full 3 weeks.
All right, everybody. Richie, you got anything else you want to say before we go?
No. It's been a fun season. For my team, it's been over since Thanksgiving, so I'm looking forward to transitioning into the off season because I've been in off season mode for a while now. I'm excited for new GM, new coach, free agency, the draft. I mean, those are some fun times. So, but it's also nice to have a team to root for in the playoffs in the Lions.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully they make me proud.
I agree. Hopefully they do. Well, until then, everybody, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week for the first episode of the playoffs. Until then, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend and that your teams do very well, unless they're playing mine. See you next week.